Hello and welcome to today's special episode of the Conservative Crusader. My name is GOP Josh. Thank you for tuning in. Our guest today is a farmer and a small business owner who decided to run against the incumbent governor of Ohio to take his seat. Joe Blystone is joining us now. Mr. Blystone, thanks for joining me here on the Conservative Crusader.
Well, thank you, Josh. Thanks for the opportunity to get the word out there.
I really appreciate you joining us, and I'll let you start by taking some time to introduce yourself and your campaign.
Well, my name's Joe Blystone. I'm a farmer. I've never been a politician. Actually, it was never on my bucket list to jump into any kind of political seat. But we see the demise of not only our country and our state, but society in general going woke, as you know. And I've decided that, we all sit around and we complain. We don't get involved in politics because we've been too passive. We sit on the sideline and don't get involved. And it's time to get involved. It's time to stand up for what's right, what's godly. And we need to fight for families again. And we need to make sure that we're propping up our Constitution, which I believe many in Columbus and or Washington, they have pretty much forgotten what our constitutional rights are, and it's time we wake them up and make them do their job that they were hired to do.
I completely agree with everything you said there. So you mentioned Columbus and Washington. What did the current governor do that drove you to the point that you decided to primary him?
I run a business on the farm. We run a cow-calf to feedlot operation. Also managing a packing house, retail butcher shop, bakery, restaurant, and an event center on the farm. I employ a little over 70 people on our farm there in Canal Winchester. And when our governor currently basically picks winners, picks losers when it comes to running a business and take care of your family. They came in and said, well, Joe, you need to shut down your restaurant for 8 weeks while the Wally World, that is 2 miles down the street from me, stayed open and had record profits. That's just wrong. That's directly against our constitutional rights. Our rights, God-given, gives us the right to work, take care of our families, and he took that away from us, and I'm just not going to have that nonsense.
I agree. I'm completely fed up with the wine, as you are, obviously, or else you wouldn't have ran. So there are 3 other candidates in this race, not including you. What makes you the best candidate out of the 4 of you to serve as governor?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe the Republican Party has lost the definition of conservatism. I believe the GOP Central Committee here in this state, it needs to implode on itself. They're not working for the people anymore. They are status quo. It's like a good old boys club that you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and they have left the people on the sideline. We need to wake them up and just remind them that they're working for the people, and if they're not going to do that, we're going to fire them. Also, I've never been in politics, so and I'm not looking for a career in politics. I'm looking to go to Columbus, break the whole system in half, and make it work for the people again. I'm not looking to be part of the status quo. And that's probably the biggest thing about me. I'm not looking to be part of the club. I always say, if nobody hates you, you're probably not getting anything done worth doing. So we'll wear that badge with pride, and we're going to go in there and we're going to be a representative of the people.
I completely agree, and you kind of introduced my next question there, which is, what are your thoughts on the Ohio Republican Party Central Committee? If you want to expand on that a little more, you can, or if not.
I think I pretty much answered that. I don't even like to be called a Republican, although I'm running on the Republican ticket. I label myself as a constitutional conservative. So that's what we need to get back to. The Constitution is the law of the land. Let's prop that up. It's non-negotiable. And we just need to run our community and our states per that law, the law of the land.
You're you're absolutely right. So there were debates by the Ohio Debate Commission that for 3 of the 4 statewide races when the primaries, and you've kind of talked about this on social media, but why was there not a Republican debate sanctioned by the Ohio Debate Commission between you and your 3 competitors?
Well, to put it bluntly, my competitors are all cowards. I was the only one who talked to the debate commission, Mrs. Jill Simon. I'm the only one that emailed and said, I'm ready to go, sign me up. And the rest of my opponents ran away like chickens. I believe that if you're not willing to get out in front of the people and work and for their support and answer the hard questions and be transparent, I believe that should just right up front disqualify you from holding this seat. So that's that. Again, that's the difference between myself and my opponents. I'm willing to take the hard questions. I'm willing to be transparent, and people will know when they vote for Joe Blystone to be their representative. They know what they're getting because I will answer any of these questions.
All right, I thank you, and I agree. I was kind of surprised when I saw that just disappear from the website. I'm like, there's not a Republican debate. I was looking forward to it. So how do you react? This is kind of a more partisan issue between you and Jim Renacci rather than DeWine. Jim Renacci likes to say he's running against DeWine, is him versus DeWine, but you're beating Renacci in most polling that I'm seeing. How do you react when Renacci just excludes you from everything, and it just doesn't? He doesn't seem to mention you.
We're not worrying about Jim Renacci. He's running his race. We're running ours. Ours is built on the platform of truth and honesty and an integrity. Jim Renacci's platform is built on lies and deception and smoke and mirrors. He's a typical politician. He's more of DeWine 2.0. I'm going to tell you whatever it is that you want to know that will make you happy because I want your vote. That's what he's going to do. We see that he tells one group of people one thing, and then he goes across the street and tells another group of people something just directly opposite. But it's lies and deception, and that's the kind of guy he is. So the people have to decide. They need to do their appropriate research. They need to go back and look at the voting record of Jim Renacci, and you'll find out that his conservative vote is actually worse than DeWine's conservative vote. So it's all in the research. It's all black and white. They just need to do their prior and proper research.
Yeah, I agree. Jim Renacci, he's I'm pretty skeptical about him, so I appreciate you laying it out like you have. So President Trump is coming to Ohio. He's coming to Delaware County on the 23rd, and I believe based on what he's been doing with his rallies that an endorsement in this race might be coming soon. Do you think President Trump will choose to endorse you, and do you need his endorsement to win?
We don't know what President Trump's going to do. We obviously we would accept his endorsement if he would like to give it. I do not believe he will endorse. Well, we know he won't endorse DeWine, and we have back information that he will not endorse Renacci either. So whether he's going to step out and put forth that endorsement, we're not really sure. But I don't believe. I believe we can win this regardless. We've been on the road for over a year now, talking to people, shaking hands, answering the hard questions, and that's basically what you need to do to win a race.
All right, thank you. And I agree. I mean, people say President Trump's the one and only thing you need, but no, you need the support of the voters. He's not even registered to vote in Ohio, so I appreciate that answer. So this is more into policy. We're going from politics to policy. A lot of Ohioans are wondering why you didn't receive an Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom rating card, as all other candidates in your race did. They released a statement saying you never replied to their survey. Was this intentional, and what is your stance on medical freedom and House Bill 248?
So everybody knows across this state where I stand for medical freedom. You know, when my opponents were double masking, and then during interviews they were telling everybody that they received the shot. What was Joe Blystone doing? Well, Joe Blystone was hosting Ohio Freedom health events on my farm. We were hosting people like Judy Mikovits and Robert Kennedy Jr. So we were involved with the health freedom before I ever decided to jump into this race. So the proof is in action. The proof is not in lip service, and that's what the other folks are giving, lip service. I've been fighting for health freedom before this race, so people know where I stand on this. Do I support HB 248? Absolutely, I do. I think that should have been passed a year ago, but our legislators dropped the ball. They did not get it out of health committee, which they should have. And, you know, we need people to hold these legislators accountable. And if they're not going to represent the voice of the people, they need fired. And that's my 2 cents on that. As far as this particular health freedom group, you know, if I just don't believe that my answering their survey is going to help my stance on where I stand on health freedom in this state. I have dealt with that particular group a little bit, and every time I do, they have a narrative that they push, and basically they've smeared me over and over again. And I'm just, if I answer them, I give legitimacy to their organization, and I'm not going to do that. You know what? If you want to be a bipartisan health freedom organization, and you want to treat everybody fairly, I'll participate. But if you're going to go out there and you're going to smear one and smear the other, I'm not going to participate with your rhetoric. And I believe the truth is out there. People know where I stand, and that's all that matters.
All right, thank you. I know I saw a lot of questions online about that, so I wanted to get that answer. So now more into the actual governor position. If you are elected, what will you do on day one as governor?
So day one, obviously, we're probably going to be still dealing with the health mandates of people losing their jobs because of the jab and whatnot. Using our Ohio Constitution, Article 1, Section 21 of the Ohio Constitution, it says that the government here cannot mandate you to participate in healthcare program, healthcare services, and I believe that boils down to taking a jab, putting on a mask. So using that Article 1, I will write an executive order that no government, no private business, no school can mandate anything regarding mask or jabs to either receive their services, hold a job, that sort of thing.
All right, thank you. I completely agree with that planned executive order, and I was just kind of curious if you weren't going to do it via executive order. You're facing a very establishment Republican Party in the General Assembly. We have a supermajority, but we don't use it. How will you work with the establishment in the General Assembly to get your agenda passed?
So basically, I'm going to use the bully pulpit, and that's what President Trump did. You know, these representatives in Columbus, there's nobody to hold their feet to the fire. Many folks in their particular districts, they don't know what their representative is negotiating in Columbus. They don't even, most don't, they're not even aware of how the system even works. So using the bully pulpit, I will, if you live in Delaware, Ohio, basically I'm just going to let you know if your representative is faltering, putting up a roadblock of good legislation being passed, I'm going to let you know in your particular community. That way you can hold your representative accountable, which there's none of that going on at the particular moment.
All right, thank you. Because I know I've seen states like Florida being able to do 1,000 times more than we can, and they don't even have a supermajority. So I was kind of wondering your stance on that. So I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on the deal between the state of Ohio and the tech company Intel for their Licking County chip factory?
Yeah, well, obviously jobs are good, but what did that business cost us to be brought here to Ohio? Well, somewhere around $20 billion. Um, will it be positive for the local community? Absolutely. But if you live up here where I am currently, I'm sitting here in Findlay. Do you think it's going to bring anything to the Findlay area? Absolutely not. But these people are still from through taxes are going to pay for that business to be here in Ohio. So, we need to change policy through taxation. We need to make it business tax friendlier in this state. Currently, we rank 45th, and that's just not cutting it. We need to make sure that we're training youngsters coming out of high school, minimal requirements, whether it's communication skills or math skills, that they're ready to go into these types of manufacturing scenarios. And again, we fail at that. Many kids coming out of high school can't do basic math, adding, subtracting, division, nor they can count change or read an analog clock. If you take their phone away from them, they're just lost. So we need more children that are coming out of high school prepared for life in general, not to live in their parents' basement until they're 30. I mean, this just makes no sense anymore. So we have a lot of work here to do, but we need to change policy basically to get more businesses into Ohio and not just prop up these big conglomerates that cost the taxpayers billions of dollars.
All right, thank you. I agree. And you kind of mentioned getting these companies back into Ohio. Do you have any more specific plans you can go into about getting these manufacturing jobs back in Ohio that were shipped overseas?
I mean, truly, to get any business into Ohio, we need skilled training. We need youngsters right out of high school willing to go into these positions, and we also need to make it tax friendly. I mean, any business that's going to come here, that's going to be first and foremost. Is it going to be tax friendly? Can I make a profit? If they can't do that, and they can't fill their manufacturing plant up with skilled staff with just minimal requirements of math and communication, then they're not going to bring these businesses back to Ohio. They're going to be elsewhere.
All right, thank you. And I completely agree. And I'm sure you're traveling all over the state for your campaign. I'm sure you can probably look out your window and see now hiring signs everywhere. After COVID, obviously, everyone quit their jobs and just ran away. How are you going to encourage people to get back to work?
Well, we're gonna cut off the free monies. Welfare is a big part of our budget in this state, and it just needs to be. It needs to end. If you're an able-bodied person, you need to go back to work, plain and simple. And if you're not willing to go back to work, at least here in Ohio, your belly's going to get empty. And I always say that if you get hungry, that'll incentivize you to work for a living.
All right, I completely agree. We have to do something, and I agree with your approach. What are your thoughts on the House Bill 6 scandal, obviously tanking the DeWine administration, that big scandal, and nuclear energy and alternative energy in general?
Well, obviously, we need to keep on with the investigation where all these monies went. We see Larry Householder still out running around. Nobody's been held accountable. DeWine was at the end of those monies also. His daughter was at the end of those monies, receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars for their campaigns. DeWine $1 million plus from First Energy. We need to reform campaign finance. I believe that you should not be allowed to take any money from PACs, super PACs, dark money where where there's always strings attached. That's the corrupt world of politics and how things move in this state, and we're allowing it to happen. It needs to end. You should only be allowed to take campaign donations from individuals, period. That can be tracked. So, nuclear energy, I do believe there's a place for nuclear energy, but there's also a place for our natural resources, whether it's coal, oil, gas. I mean, we have an abundance of these natural resources in this state, and I believe we need to utilize those also. We can't close those types of energies down and put a whole community out of work for the sake of just saying that it's going to be better for the world. I believe there's a way you can responsibly use those types of resources, that they are clean resources. And we just need to make those hard decisions and keep up with fossil fuels, because if communities, if this country, the politics, if they think they can 100% get rid of fossil fuels, we are going to be in some issues trying to fuel our economy.
All right, thank you. And I agree. We need to balance it. You can't just rely on one energy source or the other. And while we're talking about energy, how will you work on lowering gas prices for Ohioans?
Well, what should be done currently, and actually it should have been already done here a couple months ago, our legislature with our governor should have suspended the fuel gas tax just until we can see the light at the end of the tunnel of these prices going down. Right now, many working class Ohioans, single mothers, right now they're having to decide, do I fill up my gas tank or do I fill up my grocery cart? And they shouldn't have to make that decision. We need our legislators to move forward and just do what's right and help the working class in this state. But where are they? I'm still waiting for somebody to say, yes, we care about you. We're going to do something, at least to try to help a little bit through this trying time.
All right, thank you for that. And I know gas and groceries, as you mentioned, are major things that need to be worked on, so I appreciate your input there. So now we're going to talk about a topic I wish we didn't have to talk about. I wish I didn't have to bring it up. But according to 2020 CDC data, Ohio is ranked 4th in the nation for drug overdose death rates, with 47.2 overdose mortalities per 100,000 Ohioans. What is your plan to end the opioid epidemic in Ohio?
Well, currently right now, the state has failed in trying to ward off the opioid epidemic crisis. Their logic is just build more rehab centers. Matter of fact, if the local court system, municipality, community builds a rehab center, there's quite a bit of monies that come back to the local community. So we're putting a Band-Aid on it. The success rate of actually rehabbing somebody who is a drug user is nil. I believe it's like less than 2%. So it's not working what we're doing. The only way that we're really going to combat that is get rid of the drugs, take the drugs off the streets, quit letting the drugs be funneled in through the cartels into Ohio. That's how we're really going to combat this. And it falls back to our first responders, our law enforcement. We need to put together a plan of attack. And I believe this should start out with our county sheriffs. Put the funds in their hand to work with them along with the state police to combat the users, the peddlers, the cartels that are actually moving the product into Ohio, and the dealers that are dealing it in your local communities. We need to make a big noisy example of them. We need to be arresting them, and we need to throw them into prison and throw away the key. And what that'll do is it'll just set a big noisy example that if you come to Ohio and think you're going to be in the drug trade, you're going to go to prison and you're not going to come back out. And if we make that an example, I believe that we will restrict a lot of drug usage in this state. But that's it's just common sense. That's where we need to start.
Say drug use is a major problem in Ohio, so I'm glad you have a plan more than just, like you said, putting a Band-Aid on the problem and actually addressing the problem itself. So I'm sure you've seen in the news about all the attacks on our young people with education. Lately we've seen lately we have seen an agenda to teach kids as young as 5 sexual education. Luckily, states like Florida have passed a parental rights and education bill, and the General Assembly has proposed one here in Ohio outlawing that practice. What are your thoughts on House Bill 616, as well as critical race theory in Ohio schools?
Well, taking the example from Governor DeSantis down in Florida, he's doing a pretty bang up job down there. He's standing up against the woke ideology, and that's what we need to set forth here in Ohio. But they talk about not talking about gender ID and whatnot from, I believe, kindergarten through 3rd grade. I believe it needs to go further than that. I believe if we're going to talk about this in the schools, it should be in high school, not 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders. I think you need to be older to have these conversations. The little kids, they don't have the mental capacity to be able to navigate these types of situations, and we just need to put the real information out there that the way God made it. You can't choose your gender identity. That's just the way it is. And this nonsense of we're going to push that you can has to stop. And under a Blystone administration, it will stop by all means.
All right, thank you. And continuing on education, would you promote changes to or removing Common Core curriculum?
Absolutely. That has begun the demise of our public education when Common Core came about. Again, we're allowing the federal government to push this nonsense down our throat, and hence our children lose out in the public education. So we need to cut the strings from the state to the federal government. And I believe if we cut that string, we will do much better for our children's education. We also need to make sure that we are appointing good conservative Christian folks to the state teacher school board. Again, we have every single appointee from Governor DeWine. They all support the BLM movement and all this woke leftist ideology, which is not good for our communities. It's not good for our children, and it shouldn't be taught.
Thank you for that. And with public schooling, what is your stance on funding public schools? Should we put more money or less money into the public school system?
We just keep on throwing more and more money at the school systems, thinking that will cure our education issues, and it's not. We have failed our children. Many youngsters that I employ, the very first job, whether 15, 16 years old, into my restaurant on the farm, again, they can't read an analog clock. They can't count change. They don't know how to communicate face to face without a phone in their hand. We need to be teaching them common sense education, things that they really need to know coming right out of high school: how to balance a checkbook, how to manage money, how to write a check, how to communicate without a phone. These are skill sets that children need to know to be successful out in the real world, and we're just not teaching them these things. There's also a backpack bill down in Columbus that I believe needs passed. Basically, it sets up the savings account for the child wherever the child's being taught. If the child's in the public school system, the money's there. If you take your child out of the public school and move them over to a private school, Christian school, what have you, the money moves with the child. When the public school now has to compete for every single client walking through the front door, then obviously quality of education is going to go up. So that's basically holding the local school systems accountable. And currently, there is no accountability. Currently, the public school systems do whatever they want, and hence our public education has become indoctrination and not so much education.
All right, very true, and I agree with the backpack bill and everything like that. So, with that, what are your thoughts on unions such as the teachers' unions that kept our schools locked down forever? Do you think there should be some sort of government regulation breaking those up in some way?
I don't really have a problem with the teachers' unions. I think the backpack bill will cure all the demise of our public education. It'll make them accountable. If I don't have you want to be in a union, be in a union. It makes no difference to me. But I do think the backpack bill will do big things for our education, and it'll hold the teachers unions accountable to what they're pushing in the local school systems.
All right, thank you. And my final question is just how can people learn more about you, get involved with your campaign, and contact you?
So basically, they can go to blystoneforgovernor.com. They can get on there and go to the events page. They can pull up an event, see where we're speaking all over the state. They might have to drive a little bit. We're on the last 20 days or so until May 3rd. Everybody needs to come out May 3rd. That's the do or die. If we don't win the May 3rd election, we're just kind of done. And so is Ohio. So if they truly want representation, they want a true constitutional conservative to fight for them, then they need to show up May 3rd and vote. For the folks out there that they are not really engaged and they don't know about our election system, the primary is it's an open primary. As long as you're registered to vote, no matter what you're registered as, you can go in and you can ask for a Republican ballot and you can vote for Joe Blystone. So you can be an independent, a Democrat, what have you. Just go in and ask for a Republican ballot. And get on our website, make a donation, contact us in your area if you want a sign to put in your yard, and get out there and speak about the Blystone campaign to anybody and everybody that you know, because we're running a grassroots campaign, and the way folks find out about us is just people talking about us. So that's an important factor in this.
You heard him. It's BlystoneForGovernor.com. Joe Blystone, a candidate for governor of Ohio. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Ohio, the primary election is on May 3rd, which is only 17 days away at the time of this release. Please go vote. My name is GOP Josh. This has been the Conservative Crusader. Make sure you check out Joe Blystone's website at BlystoneForGovernor.com and stay tuned.